We have returned.
We have returned. We are back.
Why did we go?
I was so super poorly, wasn't I?
Yeah. So you know that B12 thing we spoke about last time, guys? Yeah, that got worse.
It really did get worse. So I found out I had nothing in my system, basically. I think I told you guys that. And
Yes.
I just couldn't function.
But now you're all jabbed up.
I feel so much better.
Like,
I have
literally,
so much more energy.
After this recording, you're going for another jab.
I am. I'm excited. It's my last ever one, and I'm kind of a bit disappointed about it. So I can absorb it. Apparently, you need to have this thing called intrinsic factor, and they were testing whether I needed to have 3 monthly B12 injections because they were just a bit perplexed that I was vegetarian, still eating eggs and milk, and still not absorbing it, but they're saying I have enough, so I don't know, but I think it remains to be seen. But basically it's going to be a good few months before I understand what's going on.
Yeah, maybe if you're a bit lethargic next time, in a few months.
I'll be like, please jab me again, because this is the good stuff, I'm telling you. I feel so much better.
Well, that's good, because we got rather a heavy topic that we're chatting about.
Yes, it's a bit sad, and it's something I haven't talked about on our own channels in years, but I don't think necessarily at all in a really deep way.
Like, rant on not coping with blindness when you first started was kind of similar.
Yeah, I agree. But I think I can be more articulate. Sorry if you can hear a plane as well. It is like 50 million degrees up here in our podcast studio today because we're on the 3rd floor of our house where we film all of these. And
yes, love you guys, but like...
love you guys, but we need the wind.
Becoming real.
Your pit sway is real. I'm fine because I have wild deodorant.
Hey,
not
but so
Spawn.
do I.
Not Spawn.
So do I.
Are you sweating?
No, not yet.
You're not a sweaty boy.
My back's getting a bit warm.
Oh.
But apart from that, we're all good.
Anyway, so let's roll the titles because I want to talk to you about deep things. Not that you know what they are yet, but stay tuned. This is But I'd Never Marry a Blind Woman.
A show where we answer all the questions you are too afraid to ask about dating, marriage, and finding love with a disability.
I'm Ollie Edwards-Cave, broadcaster, author of my book Blind Not Broken, and blind wife of...
Me, Ollie Edwards-Cave, her sighted husband and the man usually behind the camera.
Each week on this podcast we...
Your fave interabled couple.
Debunk the stereotypes of dating with a disability, dive behind the inspiration porn headlines, and unpack your relationship dilemmas.
So when people say,
but I'd never marry a blind woman,
you can answer,
well, I would.
But I'd never marry a blind woman. But I'd never marry a blind woman. Podcast, baby.
So I haven't seen my own face for 11 years. And I haven't seen your face for 11 years. And key milestones in my life are when I feel the worst about being blind. I always say that, you know, life isn't black and white, it's grey. And, you know, I've said quite a few times on the podcast, I think, that I love being blind and hate being blind simultaneously at the same time sometimes. And both can be just as true as one another, which is the good thing and the bad thing about life, I guess. It's multifaceted, and I sit here sometimes and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I love my life now. I love being blind, but I hate being blind. And I have way less times where I would say I sit and cry these days, right, Ollie?
Yeah, I'd say that the crying frequency has gone massively down over the past maybe 2 years.
Yeah, I would too. I think I'm definitely more happy in my own self.
I'd say in some ways that doing this, as in TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all of that, has in some ways sort of built up your confidence around yourself. And because we have to do so many videos, you've forced yourself to sort of look at what you do love about being blind and what you can tell people and share, and the happiness of being blind.
Yeah.
And it's in turn internalized in you.
Yeah, I agree. I think I had a lot of internalized ableism growing up through no fault of my own. A lot of people do have that, and it seeped into my blind experience. And there was a time when I didn't want to be blind because I thought I was different and it was horrible and the world around me was treating me so horribly. And, you know, I would have a guide dog refusal in a taxi and it would weigh on my mind for at least like a week. And you'd think, oh my gosh, like, is this ever going to stop? Like, am I ever going to be viewed the same way as I was pre-blindness? But then I realised no, but I could change that and I can control the way I think and feel. And these people didn't need to have the key to my mind. As you say, Ollie, like I can compartmentalise it within our work. And when I create videos, I think of all of the little Lucys out there, you know, being able to have a role model in me. I didn't have that growing up and I didn't see myself represented. And I just think, you know, imagine if I had a Google search and I Google search blindness and then someone like me came up, like I would have been so happy and so relieved and not as scared to be myself. And I don't know, like I'm so happy that other people have that, but I think there is some mental health problems for me because I didn't have that. Like I didn't have the ability to do that and I had to forge a path in this way. And I'm so glad that I have, but it has taken so much mental strength. And sometimes I think when I think about key moments in my life, so for instance, it was my nan's birthday today. Happy 83rd birthday, Nana. I love you. We saw her this morning and we had breakfast with her. But, you know, we were looking through, I've got a really exciting announcement coming soon, and we were looking through some old photos of me at Disneyland, which was so cute, with my sister. And I remember seeing those photos, obviously in a really, really distant memory in the cobwebs of my mind. But Ali and Ollie were like looking at them and audio describing them to me. And I do remember taking them and being in them. And there's some part of me that has a warm feeling, like remembering the facial expression that I did in those photos. But, you know, I can't look at them again. And that does hurt. And I either think about it and it hurts, or I just block it out. Even when I'm saying these words, I feel a bit detached. It's like a coping mechanism. Do you feel like when you're talking to me about them, I look visibly upset?
It's always like maybe if it's one or two or something, you tend to be okay. But then like yesterday, we were going through so many of them. We were looking for a particular photo and we just had to get, and like, there were so many folders to go through. Of
me in a Disney dress, to be precise.
So we were looking around for ages and ages and ages and ages. But as we were going along, we were audio describing because like we want to share what we see.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to just kind of be going through your old photos and you just sit there like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
So we start describing and then we come across like these funny moments.
And it does take you a bit longer.
Yeah.
But it's cute. And I did feel involved, but you guys are never going to be able to give me the gift of sight back. You're never going to be able to give me that, even no matter how much I hear in your voices you'd want to.
For a lot of our memories nowadays, particularly, we either take videos or we take, like you literally start a voice note.
Yeah, I do.
So we're trying to get those memories in different ways so you don't have these feelings.
Yeah, it's true. Because I don't want to look back if I still don't have my eyesight at like 80. And our whole life is just in photo albums. That's why, you know, with our wedding day, we did not spend a long time having a photo shoot. We probably spent like not even half an hour. And we had, you know, main group photos with our immediate mom and dad and sisters and brothers. And well, brother, you've got one brother. I don't have a brother.
Indeed.
And the rest of it was just videos.
Exactly.
You know?
And we actually had a lady go around the entire day, didn't we? Who was basically just recording
wild
sounds
track.
From the day.
Yeah, just wild track, just for a soundscape, which I adored that we did. Yeah. But I think looking back on older memories, I think that's when I tried to put myself into this box that needed to be fixed. And, you know, I'm so grateful that my dad was very good and gave us a camera when we were younger and we had the ability to do that. I feel forever grateful for that. And I'm glad that my kids and you and Ali still have those memories to look back on. But I do feel this sense of heartache. And, you know, today, when it's my nan's birthday, people's birthdays, Christmas, not being able to see the Christmas tree and, you know, main key moments, you know, when my friends get married, when I got married, it wasn't as big of a thing when I got married when we got married, because we adapted it to me.
We engineered it towards
it, and it was completely like from the ground up, more universally designed, which is kind of what we do in our job anyway every day. Like we consult people to do this. So we just went from the ground at like, what do we want? And everyone felt included, including me. So I didn't feel that sense of the heartache that I get. But at other people's weddings, I do have to just come home and just sob.
Yeah.
And it is hours, isn't it?
It's big events where people, because they're being distracted by so many things in so many different ways, you can't get that level of description given to you often, because I will be in the middle of describing something, but then someone will come over with like a different sort of conversation, or like the person that you're with has to go somewhere else, or there's lots people are talking at you from all sorts of angles. You've got one person in your ear saying one thing, another person in your ear saying different things, and it's like really overwhelming.
And then I don't want to be this ungrateful person like, Ollie, can you just audio describe to me? Like, I don't want to do that. So then Ollie then starts whipping out his phone and taking as many pictures as he can of different things, so then he can describe them to me later, in order to like almost do a time capsule of like what we're seeing. And he just goes, don't release, I'll take a photo, and then
we can quickly describe it later.
Yeah, we can go. Well, not even quickly. Sometimes we scroll through those albums and it takes us hours.
Yeah.
To and I think it's it's not people's fault that they don't understand. If you do not live in this world that me and you live in, you just don't. And no matter how close you are to us, if you don't live it with me all of the time, you will get it wrong, and that's okay. It doesn't mean I don't love you any less. It's just Ollie can see the look on my face and just can instantly tell like she doesn't understand, or that person missed a little thing there, because it's our world, isn't it? Would you say?
Yeah. There's quite a lot of times where someone will be describing something to you and I quickly like almost give like little whispers in your ear. They'll be like blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, they haven't mentioned this core bit of information. So you're just sitting there a little bit confused.
Yeah.
And I have to go, they're talking about like a doll.
Yeah.
And you're
or
like,
whatever. Oh. Yeah, it's true. It's so multifaceted and complicated. Like, I don't want to be someone in the corner like, oh my gosh, I don't understand why she didn't say that. And I can get like that. I can get stroppy in my mind. And people try and think of everything that they can, but yeah, if you don't live it, you don't see it. And I think that's what's hard. I don't think I think with grief and blindness, you don't ever necessarily get over it. It's just time. So things that I'm doing recently is I'm having reflexology, which I'm loving. It's really cool. It's where this woman comes and she just massages my feet in a cool way.
You have a great time.
I have an amazing time. I do feel like it really helps me, to the point where I feel so tense. And then she does reflexology on my feet. And honestly, my whole body shakes. Like, you get really cold, even if it's really hot outside, when you're having reflexology. So you have to have a blanket.
Also, a bit TMI, but you always need a wee.
I always need a wee afterwards. Yeah. It's really interesting.
You're like absolutely, like you could have like drank nothing and then you're bursting
for a wee. But also,
like,
I sob, don't I?
Yeah.
I really sob. So I have these every month, because I don't think I could do it. I don't know, every week, could I?
I don't know, maybe you'll build a tolerance to it.
Maybe, but I do feel like it's those trapped emotions that, I have ACT therapy, so acceptance and commitment therapy. It's about having a bus in your mind and thinking, right, there are gremlins on my bus that go, I hate blindness, I hate blindness, I hate blindness, I really want to see that. And then there's also other fairies on your bus that are going, I love life. And I talk about this a lot, just in passing anyway. And, a lot of the time, those gremlins aren't at the front, and I can put them to the back. But I think sometimes I put them to the back so much, and I'm so good at it, people would never know that I'm upset, because I am a people pleaser by nature, aren't I?
A little bit, yeah.
And I can hide my emotions for years, even months.
You do weirdly hide them. Like sometimes you're so good at it that I don't notice. Yeah. Which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
But eventually, if you do that too much, though, you do snap a little bit.
Yeah, I do. But also just with pain management and stuff, like at Christmas, I was trying to sew things with my best friend's sewing machine. And obviously there's, ways to do it, but I was doing it for the first time. And I just slid my finger underneath the needle, and then I put the needle all the way through my finger, and everyone went...
that was a a rough thing to look at.
All my best friends and Ollie were like, and I was like, oh. So everyone worries, like, especially like my best friend who's a midwife. She's like, Lou, I really do worry about your pain threshold and you being able to like advocate for yourself in that way, because you literally just switch off. And I really do, don't I?
Yeah, it's
It's
an
a bit
interesting way that you
scary.
cope.
Yeah. But I think just throughout my whole life, I've just, it's just a switch off button. And if people are kind of nasty to me, or, you know, they say something about my appearance, or, you know, I'm dealing with prolonged stress, you know, in any walk of, in any part of my life, really. Yeah. There's a point where I just snap rather than,
I think,
you know, I deal. And then because I push it to the back of my bus. I don't know.
I think as you go through this ACT therapy, the more you do it and the more you learn about it, you'll probably learn to sort of process that in a different way.
Yeah.
Like, because it's, to give context, ACT therapy is designed for people who have long-term or life-threatening conditions where they can't, like with, I don't know, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy.
That doesn't work for me.
It doesn't work for you.
It does work for you, though.
Because, like, anxiety is something often, it's our brains tricking us. And you can, like, almost reprogram it. The thing that's making you anxious doesn't tend to exist when you've got general anxiety. It'll be something in your mind which you're making worse. Whereas with ACT, it's often for people who have cancer, who are dying, and they're having to come to terms with living for only a few more months.
Or you feel like you're in Groundhog Day with your blindness and you wake up every single day not liking
You can't
the
ignore
current
your blindness.
reality
You can't
you're in.
wake up and go,
I'm catastrophizing.
I'm catastrophizing my blindness today. Ooh,
because it's actually happening.
Yeah, it's just there.
It's just there. Yeah.
So you have to come to terms with that, as in the therapy, not you, Lucy. You need to come to terms with that. As in, like, the
No,
therapy
I get
helps you
but
come to terms with it.
everyone is different. This is why the world's so amazing.
Indeed. And there's so many things out there. You're also doing, what's the other, tap therapy, is it? The one where you like tap your knees?
Yeah. Rapid eye movement therapy, but I'm not doing the eye movement bit. I mean, I could do, but I'm tapping instead, tapping myself. And then, it draws out the traumatic moments in your life. So mainly I'm like delving deep into the first moment that I lost my eyesight and just other things that have felt, you know, really deep inside, like trapped inside all of the
It's
filing
designed
cabinets
for
of my mind.
PTSD, isn't it?
Yes. Well, but which I do have in certain forms, just triggered by my blindness, really. So yeah, it's a deep one today, guys.
Yeah, it's delving into the inner thoughts and circumstances of Ollie Edwards-Cave.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think there are moments where I'm like, I don't massively wish to see my own face anymore. That's kind of disappeared the past probably 2 years. It's more other people's faces. And I think when I'm pregnant, I'm really going to struggle with giving birth and then not seeing my child's face. I think that's going to be the best day of my life, but oh my gosh, the hardest. I thought walking down the aisle was going to be really hard. And eventually, because we blindfolded everyone and, you know, we had Stephen Hawking's Theory of Everything music, the cinematic orchestra, Arrival of the Birds on. And, you know, in the film, you see Stephen acquiring his disability. And I just see the beauty in that so much. Because if you learn to live with your circumstance, I think that is a triumph and that is something beautiful. And I was kind of saying in that statement, standing up, and you were putting your blindfold on, weren't you, Ollie? And we were saying, you know, blindness is good enough. Blindness is okay. And we love blindness and we love our life. And I think then that made walking down the aisle not typically a sighted thing to do anymore, because it is just, you know, you want to look at your bride for the first time and then you look at your groom, and you know, I hear all my friends maybe talking about that in their stage of their life, and they're looking forward to, you know, the first glance of
that first
each
look.
other, and I'm just like, I just don't relate to that at all. Like, there's no part of my body that relates to that in any way, and it also makes me a bit, not that they mean it at all, but it does make me feel a bit like, that is just, there's so much more to a wedding day than that. Like, it kind of makes me choked up because that's the way I used to think. And now because we've changed our perspective so much in the work that we do, and just the life that we're leading with my disability, I just think we just don't think like that at all, do we?
No.
It is enlightening, but also I don't judge people who value that. I just we don't. So I struggle with things that I can't comprehend anymore, and I think everyone would, you know, but no judgment. I'm not struggling with me anymore. I'm struggling with the other moments, and I don't really know how to end this podcast really,
Well,
but other than
we'll keep you guys updated
on how I'm
progress.
feeling. Yeah, this is the thing. It's just a rich tapestry of life. That is my little saying, but it really is like...
It's about being open with the happy moments and the sad moments of being in life.
Yeah, I do feel like it ebbs and flows, and I am overall a positive person, but I like chatting on the podcast about these little moments that I feel with you guys, because I do wish I could see sometimes, and that is completely normal. So if you are here thinking these thoughts too, you know, it's okay and you are valid. Okay, we'll speak to you soon.
Speak to you guys soon.
Bye.